Hello everyone. In this lesson we are going to solve quadratic equations for the roots, the zeros, by using the quadratic formula. And the good thing about the quadratic formula is that number one, it always works, and number two, it is given to you on the reference sheet. First, we're going to solve the do now for the roots, and again, y equals x squared plus 34 minus 72. Remember, this is a trinomial. A trinomial factors into two binomials. And let's see if we could do that. So we're just going to go ahead and put two sets of parentheses down. This whole thing is equal to y. So I'm going to put 72 up here, and I'll just give you a little bit of a hint. Y equals, if you put 72, press alpha x, this is how you get all factors of 72 quickly. 72 divided by x, and then press second function table, and we could see all of the factors of 72. 1 times 72. Let me move my face over there. 1 times 72. You can't make 34 if you add or subtract them. So we're going to go to the next one. And we're going to go to 2 times 36. And yes, those factors can add or subtract to 34. So I'm going to put the largest factor first and the smaller factor second. You have to multiply to a negative, which means one has to be positive and one has to be negative. This has to add or subtract to a positive 34. So this has to be positive and this has to be negative. So we have x plus 36. I don't know why I'm putting the parentheses. Equals 0. And then x minus 2 equals 0. So the roots, we're just going to subtract 36 on both sides. So the roots are x equals negative 36, or, and then we're going to add 2 to both sides, squeezing that in, and then x equals 2. So this cancels, and that's why x equals negative 36 or x equals 2 would be the those two roots where the quadratic parabola would go down, pass, cross the negative 36, intersect with the x-axis at negative 36 and 2. 2 is already factored out for us, so this is pretty easy. You're going to take this first term here, 5x, set it equal to 0, and then 6x plus 27, that is going to be equal to 0. So we're going to divide by 5 on both sides. X equals 0, or, and then we're going to minus the 27 on both sides. This cancels. You're going to have 6x, going to bring that down, equals negative 27. You're going to divide by 6 on both sides, and x equals, I'm going to just bring this up, graph, and then clear it. Hopefully, negative 27 divided by 6 is negative 4.5. So we have negative 4.5. So these are the roots, x equals 0 or x equals negative 4.5, and then x equals negative 36 or x equals 2. So we're going to bring this down just a little bit, bring this down just a little bit, bring this down just a little bit. So let's find the sum of the solutions. So here we go, of the solutions for this. So we're going to just bring this and put this directly into the calculator. So we're going to bring this up. This is y equals. We're going to clear that. And we're going to have 3x squared plus 13x minus 10. So 3x squared plus 13x minus 10. And let me just make sure that that is correct. It is. And then we're going to press graph. So along this graph, you could see that this one right here is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So x equals -5. And I want to check the table just to see it's -5, 0. So I'm going to go up to -5, and it is -5, 0. So just taking a look at the other root, that is not a whole number. So what we're going to do is we're going to press, and I'll put this in full screen. We're going to press second function and trace, and we're going to go to 2, and we are going to go left bound. Now remember, press to the right or left, not up or down. All right, so there's I stopped, I pressed to the right twice, and my cursor came up just below the x-axis. I'm going to press enter once, and then it's going to say right bound. I'm going to press right once, and then it's going to go up above the x-axis, and I'm going to press enter. Notice these two lines being drawn by the calculator. Now it's going to kind of give us what that root is from where I stopped it below and stopped it above. Now it says guess. You press enter one more time. There is the root. So if you take 0.666666, that is 2/3. So if you didn't know that though, let's just say 0.66666666, and you wanted to just change it to a fraction, just remember you press math, and it's right here. Do you see, like if you press math right there and you have fraction, it's going to change everything. You press enter, it's going to change this decimal to a fraction, and it doesn't. Okay. Because the calculator will not do it because it's just reading. It's 0.6666. Let me see if I put 0.66666 and then 7. Let's see if that kind of will give that part. And there it is. So it needed to see, the calculator needed to see that that last number was rounded to 7 to give us the 2/3. So now we have or x equals 2/3. So that is a positive, and we're going to bring that back up again, and then we're going to put -5 plus, and then I don't know why I put the -5 in first, because I could have just pressed that I was adding them. Let's see what if I press enter, what that would be. It is -13/3. So -13/3, again, is not anything that I have here. So I'm going to press math again, and there's a couple of things that I want to show you. If I press math again, I would have to go all the way over to the right to press fraction, to see this fraction right there. And if I highlight fraction, I can see number 2. It's going to change it into a mixed number. And that's what I have as my answers. By the way, it's not -3, so I could cancel that out. But rather than do that, I'm going to clear it. And you see this right here is an improper fraction. It's -13/3. You could press alpha Y, and you could bring that up quickly as number 2. That's kind of like a shortcut. So if I press number 2, then I would be able to kind of take my -13/3 and change it into a mixed number. And I'll take this 3. I'll press 3, and it's going to take my answer and change it from a fraction to a mixed number, and I press enter, and it's -13/3. 4 1/3. And on my sheet here, this is wrong. So this would change. I'm going to have to change that to -4 1/3, just like that. So because this is -5 plus 2/3 equals -4 1/3, not 2/3. So that was wrong. So this is supposed to be -4 1/3. And that is your answer. And I switched it, and there it is. Okay, so here is the quadratic formula, and the quadratic formula is used to find the roots of the parabola, the quadratic. All right, it always works, so it's awesome. This technique is really used for when you really can't factor easily. When you have an a, the number before the coefficient before the x squared, that is something like 3 or 4. This is easily used, the quadratic formula. Go to the reference sheet, put the quadratic formula down, and label your A, B, and C, and that's it. And you substitute the values in, and you solve. A lot easier than dealing with anything else. That is for the quadratic equations. This is standard form of a quadratic. So we're going to put standard form. Standard form of a quadratic. So just remember, your A is the number, the coefficient before the x squared. The B is the coefficient before the x. And the C stands for the constant. Just remember, this always works. So here it is. We are going to solve for this right here. Almost impossible to set up and factor, just like so. And we're not going to factor this into two binomials. We're going to use the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula, we are going to put x equals -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And a step-by-step, which is right here, write the equation in standard form. It is already in standard form. Now identify the values of a, b, c. So I'm going to put right above this a, 8 is b, and c is -10. So I'm going to put this 2 for a, 8 is b, and -10, the sign before the number is the sign of the number. So when I go ahead and substitute this in, I am going to write down the quadratic formula first. So this is -b plus or minus x equals, by the way, square root of always b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. So now I'm going to just give myself some space, and I'm going to start substituting those numbers in. This is -8 because that's b. -b is -8. The plus minus goes in front of that, or after that, I'm sorry. B squared is 8 squared, and I put that in parentheses, squared, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is -10. And I'm just going to kind of make that longer. And just remember, that is all over 2 times 2. Now, we're going to have two roots here. This is -8 plus all of this. And then also the other root, the negative root, would be -8 minus. All right. So whatever that comes out to be, you just have to solve for the roots, the zeros of this equation. So I'm going to bring this up, and I'm just going to move this all the way over here. And hopefully that works out. I'm going to move this over. So I'm going to put this directly in the calculator. You don't do anything by hand. So this -8, we're going to put alpha x, and we're going to put that in fraction form. We're going to put -8, and I'm going to do the plus first. I always do the plus first. Square root, and I'm going to put the 8 in parentheses squared, minus 4. I'm just typing in what I have here, times 2, close parenthesis, open parenthesis, -10, close parenthesis, and then 2 times 2, which is 4. I'm just going to put that in just like that. And then when I press enter, I get 1. So in this section, I'm going to put x equals 1. And I'm going to set up the OR. And then in this section here, it's going to be x equals something else. We don't know what that's going to be. It could be a decimal. It could be a whole number, or whatever it is. I'm just going to go back up. And instead of, I'm going to press alpha x again, I'm going to put -8. And instead of the plus, I'm going to put minus. That's this side. And then square root, in parentheses, 8 squared, minus 4, times the 2, open parenthesis, -10, and then all over 4. And that is -5. So this was pretty easy. These are the roots. These are the roots, the solutions, the zeros. And that is it. So easy. Great, because it always works. Definitely do this. I just have to put this parenthesis. All right. And that is everything. So we're going to go to this one right here. We're going to write it in standard form first. Then we're going to use the quadratic formula. I don't know why this is set up this way, but I'm going to just change it because this standard form thing is way in the way here. I'm going to move it up. I'm going to see if I could move it up. And just to move things along, here's my standard form. The 1 is the a before the x squared. The -4 is the b before the x, and its constant is 12. So then you rewrite the quadratic formula. It is x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. So I'm just going to substitute the numbers in. X equals -4. All right. The negative b, it's already a negative. So what it becomes is a positive. But I just wanted to show you that it's negative of a negative, and negative of a negative is positive. So this is plus, then you have the square root of b squared, which is -4. Make sure you put it in parentheses, squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 12. I'm going to extend that square root. And that's all over 2a, 2 times 1. So I'm going to just go like this and like this because I'm running out of space. And x equals, let's go ahead, bring up this calculator, and we're going to clear that out. And just remember, it was 2 negatives. We're going to press alpha x because that's in the numerator. -4. We're going to let the calculator figure that out. And we're going to do the plus side first. The square root of -4 squared minus 4 times 1. Obviously, 4 times 1 is just 4. And then times 12, all over 2. And we're just going to press enter. And, it says error. I wonder what that could mean. when it says error, just think about what you have. Do you have a solution? Probably not. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to just show you, second function square root. So I'm going to put down, I'm just going to, and I never do this, but I'll just separate just to show you what is happening underneath this radical. If it is a negative, remember, you can't take the square root of a negative number. So if it's a negative, that means there is no solution. It does not matter if you do the minus on the outside or the plus on the outside. If it's underneath the radical and it's a negative, that means you can't, you don't have an answer. And that means it never crosses the x-axis. And there is no solution. So now I have just put the underneath the radical underneath the radical in by itself, and there's error. So that means that it is a quadratic that does not touch the x-axis. Now I am going to go and put in x squared minus 4x plus 12, and this is x squared minus 4x plus 12. X squared minus 4x plus 12. And I'm going to bring that back up, and I'm going to just press graph, and you don't see, there it is, right there. So you could see no solution. Can't take the square root of a negative. So I'm just going to erase this. Well, I wanted to erase it. And I'm going to put no solution. And it's because underneath that radical, it's a negative number. If you did negative 4 squared without the radical, let's just say, if you put negative 4 squared, let's clear this out. Negative 4 squared, this is a better way to see it, minus 4 times 1 times 12, you'll get a negative number, and it's negative 32. And that's underneath here. Square root of negative 32, you can't do anything. All right, so that is no solution, and we're going to go on to number 2. So now I'm going to add the x squared on both sides, and I'm going to get x squared, put that in standard form right away, minus 6x plus 4 equals 0. And now I'm able to identify 1, the a, the b is negative 6, and the c is 4. Now I'm going to rewrite x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared. I was ahead of myself there. Minus 4ac all over 2a. And let's see what we have here, because let's hope that we have a solution this time. X equals negative b is negative 6. I'm just going to put 6 in, all right? If it's negative already and they want to negate a negative, that means it's positive. Negative 6 is positive 6. So hopefully that doesn't mess anybody up there. Plus or minus. And we're going to put the big square root. We're going to have negative 6 squared. Put that in parentheses because the calculator will mess that up. 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 4. All over. That is a messed up line. All over. That's a better line. 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. I'm just going to put 2 times 1, but you know what that means. 2 times 1 is 2. So I'm going to put x equals 4 x equals. So let's bring the calculator back up. We're just going to go alpha x because we get the fraction going. It's 6 plus. This first time I'm going to do the addition part of it. The negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4 all over 2. Pretty easy to, to type in. That is going to be rounded to the nearest hundredth. So it's 5.24. Then I'm just going to go and do the same thing. Alpha x 6 and then minus, this time, the square root of negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4 all over 2. And that is x equals 0.76. So you see exactly what's going on here as far as getting the answer in the quadratic into standard form, and then identifying a, b, and c so you could actually use the quadratic formula. These questions here did not ask to use the quadratic formula, but I'm going ahead and doing that anyway, just to get you used to what is going on and what you have to do in the next couple of pages. So that's it. So we're going to just do this in blue. This is negative 8x. I'm just going to move this over to the right. And in the standard form, I'm just going to put 3x squared plus 8 plus 3 is 9, 10, 11x. And there is no constant. So this side cancels and it equals 0. So the a would be 3. The b would be 11. The constant would be 0. When I go ahead and if they asked you to put this in and use this in the quadratic formula, it would be negative b square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Just going to move this over. And here is what we're going to put in. X equals, if they asked you, like none of these questions ask you to do the quadratic formula. All right. It's just putting it in standard form and putting it A, B, C, just identifying the A, B, and C. We're just going ahead and doing a little bit extra here. The b squared would be 11 squared. I'm going to put that in parentheses and square it. Minus 4 times a, which is 3. And then times c, which is 0. All right. So just remember, you do have to put the 0 there, because that's important. And then 2 times a is just 2 times 3. And we're just going to go like this and like this and put x equals. Give yourself some room. And then the or. And then the x equals. We're going to bring up the calculator. We're going to press alpha x first. Remember, it's negative 11. I'm going to do the plus first. Square root. And then 11 squared minus 4 times 3 times 0. Let the calculator figure it out. Because it's anything times 0 is, I'm putting 6 for 2 times 3. Any times 0 is going to be 0, and the whole thing is 0. All right, so this is 0. Now I'm going to go alpha x again, and I'm going to press negative 11, and I'm going to put negative 11 minus this time, square root 11 squared minus 4 times 3 times 0 all over 6, and it's negative 11 over 3. So negative 11 over 3, I'm just going to go to, I'm just going to press alpha x to make this a decimal. Like, I'm going to try to make it a decimal. Let's see. Yeah, negative 3.67 if I rounded it. So this is negative 3.67. And this is a squiggly equal sign because you're rounding it to the nearest hundredth. This is 0 and negative 3.67. So you really don't have to do this. I did it just because, you know, I wanted to do some extra work here. Not really wanted to do some extra work, but I wanted to show you how you would actually go about solving this. So this should be easy for you. So this is x equals, I am not going to rewrite the formula. I'm just, actually I'll rewrite the formula. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then I am going to move this over to x equals, negative b is negative 13 plus or minus square root of 13. Not putting a minus sign. It is 13. Oh boy. Squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 30, all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. Right? So now I'm going to bring the calculator up. I'm going to press clear. I'm going to put negative 13. Actually, I'll put the alpha x first for a fraction. Negative 13, the plus sign. Square root 13 squared minus 4 times 1 times 30 and close those parentheses, and then 2 over 2. So that's a negative 3. So I'm going to go like this, x equals negative 3, and that's an exact value. And then I'm going to put x equals, I'm going to put an or. Let's see. Alpha x, negative 13, minus this time, square root 13 squared minus 4 times 1 times 30 all over 2. It's not difficult to punch in. It's negative 10. And those are the roots. Those are the x-intercepts, the zeros, whatever you want to call them. All right, it says round to the nearest hundredth. This is in standard form already, so we're going to put 4, 12, and negative 44. We are going to write down x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I'm going to move this over. X equals negative b, which is 12, negative 12, plus or minus 12 squared minus 4 times a, which is 4, times c, which is negative 44. That's all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 4. And we're going to get ready to go and get our roots. Now it says round to the nearest hundredth. So that means I am going to set this up, and this is a rounding question. So we're going to put the squiggly equal sign, and we're just going to roll through here. This is negative 12 plus or minus. So we're going to put alpha x, negative 12. We're going to do the plus side first. The square root, the 12 squared. Nope. I'm going to put delete, delete, and then the 12 in parentheses squared minus 4 times 4 times negative 44 all over 2 times 4, which is 8. That much you could do. So this is 2.14, and that's the way it's going to stay, 2.14. That's rounded to the nearest hundredth. So this side is going to be rounded to the nearest hundredth as well. We're going to go to this right here, and we're going to just press alpha x. Again, negative 12. The minus 1 now, we're going to press second function square root, put it in parentheses 12 squared minus 4 times 4 times negative 44. And we're just going to put the 8 underneath it. This is the minus side. So we have a negative 5.14. And that's it. Normally you would put, I guess you would put the negative first, but I don't think they're going to have any problem with you arriving at the roots that way. This is in standard form again. So 6, 5, and negative 6. So we're just going to put the quadratic formula down. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I'm going to move over. This is now negative b, which is negative 5, plus or minus square root of 5 squared minus 4 times a, which is 6, times negative 6, c. And then that's all over 2 times a. 2 times a is 2 times 6. And we're going to say the exact values of x. So we're just going to go like this and like this, and we're going to have the exact values. Let's see what we get. We're going to clear this out because there's a lot going on there. This is now negative 5, so I'm just going to put this over here, negative 5, and then we're going to do the plus first, square root, and we got 5 squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 6 all over 12. 6 times 2 is 12. And we have 2/3. And we're going to put an or. We're going to put an x equals. We're going to go back, and we are going to look for the negative. So this is the minus side, and we're going to press enter, and it's going to have a negative 3 over 2. These are exact values, and that is it. Going to this, it says round to the nearest tenth. That's what we're going to do. These are in standard form, so we don't have to mess with them at all. I'm going to write down the quadratic formula, which is what I always do first. I'm going to put that -5 in, but the negative, it's supposed to be negative, so that means that's going to turn to a positive. The b squared is -5 squared, so that's going to be a positive. -4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is -7. All over 2 times a, which is 2 times 3, which is 6. We're going to round to the nearest tenth, so there. So I'm just going to set up x and then squiggly equal. And this is a alpha x, and this is negative, right? But double negative. So -5. If you want to put it in that way, or if you just want to make it a positive, that's fine. It's just, it is what it is. -5 squared, which is, it really is 25, -4 times the 3 times the -7 is all over 6, and enter. So this is rounded to the nearest tenth. Rounded to the nearest tenth, that's 2.6. And then we're going to put x here. And we're going to go back up. And we're going to put a +5 this time, because negative and negative. All right, listen, I won't do it. And in the minus sign right now, this is the square root of -5 squared -4 times 3 times -7 all over 6. Just seeing if I got that right. It is negative 0.9. And that is rounded to the nearest tenth. By the way, you can put this directly into the calculator. So if I press y equals, and I want to check to see if my answer is correct, that is 3x squared minus 5x minus 7. And if I press graph, that's -0.9 right there. And that is 2.6 right there. So if you wanted to kind of just check to see if that's correct, you just trace and you go to 0 and you see this cursor. We're going to just press to the left, and that's too far to the left. I'm just going to press to the left and press enter above the x-axis, then below the x-axis once, press enter, and then right, and that's -0.9. Look, it's perfect. Then to get the other root, you press second function calc again, and you press 2. You go all the way over to the right side of the parabola. I just went too far. And below the x-axis, right? So you're going to press enter. And then above the x-axis, you're going to press enter one more time. And you're going to see 2.57 rounded to the nearest tenth. That is 2.6. So everything that we did is correct. All right. That was number 4. Yeah, it is. All right, and here is number 5. So we're going to solve for x here, and we're going to round it to the nearest hundredth. We're going to put a equals 1, b equals -4, and c equals 1. I'm going to go all the way over here, put -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then x equals, I'm just going to substitute the numbers in. It is a -4 plus or minus square root of -4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 1, which is c, all over 2 times 1, which is 2. This is going to be easy. All right, so this is the nearest hundredth. So we're going to put that going, and we're going to get the squiggly equal sign. And we're going to clear this out, alpha x. And we're going to put this in as negative. We're going to put it in as +4. Listen, it's +4 plus square root of -4 squared minus 4. I'm not going to put the ones in. I'm just not. And then it's all over 2. All right, enter. It's 3.73. And then on the other side, let's go ahead. We're going to put 4 in, alpha x. We're going to put 4 in. We're going to do the minus side now. Second function, square root, -4 goes in, squared, minus 4 again, and then all over 2. Rounded to the nearest hundredth is a 0.27. And that's it. All right, so using the quadratic formula and your graphing calculator with real-world problems, you're basically going to be asked for where you're given this equation, and it's going to be like a rocket or a ball that's thrown. The height of the rocket above the ground is given by this equation, where t is the time in seconds. How long is the rocket in the air? So based on the information given, you're basically going to put this directly into the calculator like this, right here. You're going to put that directly in, and you're going to see exactly what is going on here. So I'm just going to put this in and make sure that you understand. It is -16 t squared. So you put -16 x squared in, and that is plus 64x, 64t, plus 64x. And we're going to press graph. And take a look at what the graph is. The graph is like completely, like you missed the top part of this, but it doesn't matter because the question is, how long is the rocket in the air? So t, the x, is the rocket, right? And how long is the rocket in the air? So it looks like the rocket is in the air right here. It gets, set off, shot at 0, 0, and then what goes up, up, and then hits the ground. So how long is the rocket in the air? 4 seconds. And that is that. So we're going to practice and we're going to answer all of these questions. These are really good questions. The object is, like, just take it slow because this is a little bit difficult. It's launched at that right there, and it's 58.8 meters tall on the platform. The equation for the object's height is s. The t is the time in seconds after the launch. Is this, where s is the meters. So, what is the object's height, s, when it is initially launched? Is launched at 19.6 meters per second from a 58.8 meter tall platform. So we're just going to go 58.8 meters. What is the object's maximum height after launched? We don't know. All right, so let's go ahead and put this into the calculator, and we're going to just look to see negative 4.9 x squared, negative 4.9 x squared plus 19.6 x plus 19.6x, and then we're just going to put this down again, plus 58.8. And we're going to press graph. So, wow, I have no idea. So we are going to have to see and extend this window. So I am going to go and look at this right here. I'm going to extend the window to 100. So I press window, and the Y max is what I need to see. I need to see the top portion of this. So I'm going to go to the Y max, and instead of 100, I'm just going to press 75. And let's see if that works out. Nope. I should have just stuck with 100. Window. We're going to go down to Y max and 100. Let's see if this works out. Yes, this works out. So now they're asking for the maximum height. This is the maximum height right here where I have that set up. So I'm going to just make this as big as possible just so you could see what is going on here. Okay. So I'm going to press second function trace again, maximum. So this is 4. So here's the cursor. I'm going to press to the right until it gets really close to the maximum. And right there is fine. I'm going to press enter. And then I'm going to press to the right where it goes over the maximum. And I'm going to press enter again. And then I'm going to press enter one more time. The maximum height is the Y, not the X. So it is not the X. So this is 78.4 meters in height. That's the maximum height. And that's it. How long after the object is launched does the object reach its maximum height? Then you can go back here and look, 2 seconds. So it says t in time in seconds. So this is 2. So let me go back here. See this X? This is 2 seconds. This is 1 second. This is 2. It reaches its maximum height, 1.999. Obviously, you're going to round that to 2. So it hits the ground here. Let me just check the table. So just remember, it hits the ground at, look, 6 seconds. It hits the ground, it's 6 seconds. 6, 0, so 6 seconds. What is the domain, remember the X, of the path of the object? So I'm going to put this in a compound inequality. So we're going to have this start at 0. Remember, time is not negative. So 0 is when it starts. So it is greater than, X is greater than or equal to 0. And less than or equal to 6. Or if you put the domain in interval notation, you would have a bracket 0 and 6 bracket because they're both equal. So either one is fine. So talking about the discriminant is an expression underneath the radical in the quadratic formula. It is used to determine how many solutions there are in a quadratic equations before you solve it. So all you have to do is put the b squared minus the 4ac into your calculator, and you will get this stuff right here. So if you, obviously you're going to have to identify what the b is and the a and the c, the a, b, and c of the quadratic. And then you just put b squared minus 4ac in to your calculator. If it is 24, let's just say if it's 24, let me go down. It is 2 solutions. So if it's greater than 0, you have 2 solutions. So greater than 0. So if you have a number that is greater than 0, it's 2 solutions. If you have a number equal to 0, let me see if I can squeeze this. No, I can't. I can't squeeze it anywhere. Equal to 0, that's 1 solution. If you have a number that is less than 0, it's no solution, and that's it. All right, so your discriminant, positive, is blue, where you have 2 solutions. So I'm just going to put 2 here. The red is 1 solution, and the green is none. No solution. And let's go down here. This is it right here. If b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, you have 2 solutions. If b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, there's 1 solution. And if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, that means that there is no solution, and the parabola does not hit the x-axis, does not intersect the x-axis. So we're going to use the discriminant to find the number of solutions. So I already labeled A, B, and C, and all you have to do is put negative 2 squared in parentheses minus the 4 times A, which is 4, times C, and all you have to do is put this into the calculator. And I'm just going to put my face over here and put the calculator over here. Press graph, clear it out, clear this out. And then this is now negative 2 squared minus 4 times 4 times 10. And that's it. Press enter, no square root. This is equal to negative 156. It is less than 0, so this is no solution. And you could check it by going ahead and putting the quadratic into the calculator, but you really don't have to. If you really want to, you can, which is b equals 1 and c equals negative 5. Now you have b squared, which is 1 squared. We're going to put that in, minus 4 times a, which is negative 2, times c, which is negative 5. And let's see what this comes out to be. We're going to put this as 1. This is 1 squared minus 4 times negative 2 times negative 5. And we'll see what that equals. That is negative 39. Again, another no solution. you must get this in standard form first. So I'm just going to rewrite it. X squared minus x minus 10 equals 0. Then underneath it, I'm going to put a equals 1, b equals negative 1, and c equals negative 10. I'm going to put b squared. So just remember, it's b squared minus 4ac. All right? You're finding out the discriminant. So this is negative 1 squared, which is 1, minus 4 times 1 times negative 10. And we'll see what this is. It is negative 1. Put this over here. We're going to move this over here. Negative 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 10. Close parenthesis is 41. Yay! 41. 41 is 2 solutions. Excellent. This right here is A is 4. B is 0. C is 25. And this is b squared minus 4ac. B squared is 0 squared minus 4 times 4 times 25. I mean, whatever. This, my face over here, my face over here, my calculator over here. This is 0 squared minus 4 times 4 times 25. And you know what this is going to be? Negative 400. Saw that coming. No solution. Oh, man. A, B. A is 1, comma. B is 4. C is 4. B squared minus 4ac. This is the discriminant. B squared, which is 4 squared, 16, minus 4 times 1 times 4. And that, by the way, is equal to 0. Because you could see it. It is 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4. And that is 0. 0 is what? 1 solution. We're going to have A is 9, B 0, C is negative 36. B squared minus 4ac. 0 squared minus 4 times 9 times negative 36. This looks like a positive. 0 squared minus 4 times 9 times negative 36. We're going to press enter, and it's 1,296. And that is 2 solutions. And again, every time that you do this, you could check out to see if this is correct by labeling, by checking in the calculator. Just graph it, and you will be, you'll see if your answer is correct or if you messed up. A quadratic equation will blank have 2 solutions always? No. Sometimes? Yes. Never? No. And that is it. Choosing an appropriate method when graphing, you have a graphing calculator handy, you just graph it, especially if it's a multiple choice question. Square roots, if the equation has no x term, you just use the square root to solve. Factoring, you could factor the equation easily, then you just factor it into like a trinomial, could factor into two binomials. The quadratic formula, the equation cannot be factored easily at all. And even if you don't want to factor something, you could always use the quadratic formula to figure out what the roots are. It always works. That's why a lot of people use it. Completing the square, it's best when a equals 1 and b is even. But just remember, they're going to tell you when to use the method of completing the square, and that is it. So in the exit slip, and here we go, find the discriminant to calculate how many solutions this quadratic has. It is in standard form already, so I'm just going to go a equals 3, b equals -8, and c equals 3. And remember, the discriminant is only underneath the radicals, so that's all you have to worry about. You don't even have to put the square root. So this is -8 squared minus 4 times 3 times c, which is 3. Now just remember, when the result is greater than 0, you have two solutions. When it is 0, you have one solution. And when it is negative, there is no solution. Because remember, if it's negative, that means you can't take the square root of a negative. So that's the reason why. You just put this directly into the calculator. -8, and you put that squared. It is minus 4ac, so it's minus 4 times 3 times 3. Just like that. And it's 28, the result of 28. And that means there's two solutions. And that is that. All right, so then solve for all of the values of d, rounding to the nearest tenth. So we already have the a and the b. This is basically using the quadratic formula. This is -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over, and this is 2 times a. I'm going to move over here this, -b. So b is -8, so I'm just going to put 8 plus or minus square root of -8 squared minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is 3. All over 2 times 3, which is 6. Oh, I put 6. Yeah. So, rounds to the nearest tenth. So I'm just going to put x and squiggly equal sign. So clear all that out. Alpha x, we're going to have 8 plus side square root of -8 squared minus 4 times 3 times 3 all over 6. And we're going to go 2 point, rounded to the nearest 10, 2.2. Or x squiggly equal sign. And we're going to press, oops, not second function. Oh, alpha x, nice. 8 minus this time, square root, -8 squared, minus 4 times 3 times 3 all over 6, and enter. That is 0.5 rounded to the nearest tenth. All right, and that's it. Here is another exit slip. So how many real solutions does this equation have? So the one way to find a real solution is to just use the discriminant. That is b squared minus 4ac. So if it is positive, you know there's two solutions. If it is a 0, there's one solution. If it's negative, there's no solution. So we are going to put a equals 1, b equals -2, and c equals 5. So we're just going to substitute that in as -2. We're going to put that squared minus 4ac, 4 times 1 times 5. And let's see what that comes out to be. It's -2 squared minus 4 times a times c. And we're going to put that directly in, and we get -16, right? And that is no solution. So no solutions on that one. So use the method of completing the square. That's going down right here. Completing the square to determine the exact values for x for the equation. So remember, completing the square has a little bit of a different thing to it. And you do have to -6 to both sides. You have to get that constant over to the right side in completing the square. So this cancels. You have x squared minus 8x equals -6. And then we're just going to put a equals 1, b, even though you don't need the c, but you know, I'm just going to leave it that way. So the first step in completing the square is -8. This is b. Let me move this down. I don't want to skip anything just so people don't get confused. So this is b divided by 2. So what b divided by 2 is -8 divided by 2, and that is -4. Then you take -4, the result, and square it. This is part of completing the square. You get 16. So now you're going to go back to the quadratic, and you're going to add 16 to both sides. This is plus 16 equals -6 plus 16. So this is a trinomial that you're going to factor. What is that? Okay, I need a little bit more space to put that in. These are two binomials. So you're not going to have to look far because you see this right here. This is -4. Those are the factors here. -4 times -4 is 16. -4 plus -4 is -8. So this is 10. So this becomes x minus 4 squared equals 10. So we are going to remember that they're asking for exact values. So the opposite of squared is square root. So we're just going to put the square roots on each side. The square root cancels with the square. We're going to have x minus 4 plus equals plus or minus. Let me erase that and just make it a little bit better there. Plus or minus square root of 10. And we're going to add 4 to both sides. So the answer would be, in exact values, x equals 4 plus or minus square root of 10. Exact value. Okay, one more exit slip. Just added it because this is something that you will be able to, that you'll see on the regions possibly. It says simplest radical form. So it says use the quadratic formula, and the quadratic formula, you know, is nice and easy. It's on the reference sheet. We're going to put x equals, because we're solving for the roots, x equals negative b plus or minus. We're going to look this up on the reference sheet, and we're going to put b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we're going to put the x squared plus 4x. This is all standard form, so they gave it to you nicely. We're going to label a as 1, b as 4, and c as negative 3. So we're just going to go and take a look at the quadratic formula, and we're going to start substituting in the numbers. So negative b becomes negative 4. The plus or minus goes there from the formula. It is b squared, so it's 4 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 3, all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. Now, when we do simplest radical form, just remember, it is not going to come out. It's going to come out as a radical, and it's not going to be in simplest radical form. So notice if it says simplest radical form. So when it does say simplest radical form, if you put this whole thing into the calculator, you are going to get a decimal, and that is not simplest radical form. So what you do have to do, you have to do a little bit different here. We are going to split this up. Actually, I'm not going to split that up. I am just going to put x equals negative 4 plus or minus, and I'm going to figure out what that discriminant is. This 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 3 without the square root. So I'm going to do that without the square root because, again, I want to see what's underneath the radical, because it says simplest radical form, so you do have to see what is underneath the radical. So this is 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 3. And if you see what that equals, that is equal to 28. Now you could put 28 down here, and then that's all over 2. So this right now is not simplest radical form. This square root of 28 needs to be broken up into a perfect square versus times a non-perfect square. So I'm going to put negative 4 plus or minus, and then I'm going to put a perfect square radical times a non-perfect square radical, and that's all over 2. All right. So what times what equals 28? And it has to be one perfect square times a non-perfect square. So if you look at 28, and if you think about 1 times 28, 2 times 14, none of them are perfect squares. 3 does not go in to 28, but 4 does. 4 goes in 7 times. So 4 is the perfect square, and that's the largest perfect square that goes in, 4 times 7. And now we could split that up because the square root of 4 is 2. So if you have x equals, we're just going to put x equals -4 plus or minus square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 7, right, comes down, and that's all over 2. All right? So just remember, this is all divided by 2. So -4 divided by 2. So we're just going to put this as a final answer. X equals -4 divided by 2 is 2. -2, sorry. And then plus or minus, we're going to have plus or minus. And then you see these 2's here, they cancel. And it becomes square root of 7. And that is your final answer there, simplest radical form. When you divide by 2, the -4 divided by 2, and the 2 plus minus the square root of 2 square root of 7 divided by 2, the 2's cancel there, and you go and divide this, and you get -2, and then the 2's cancel here. So the 2's cancel, and then -4 divided by 2 is -2. And that's where this is coming from right there as your final answer. This is simplest radical form. And that is what I wanted to show you. This was on the January Regents, which is the Regents before the one that you're going, the June 2025. This was on the January 2025 Regents. So this was the Regents before the June 2025 Regents. So this could be something that they do ask you to do. But just remember, when they say simplest radical form, you can't put the entire thing into the calculator, because you have to see what's underneath that radical. You have to see the discriminant. It becomes square root of 28, and that is a very, very important part, because if you don't see that, if you do go ahead and put the entire thing in, it becomes like I cleared it, but it becomes a decimal. And then you're going to round it. You're not going to put it in simplest radical form. And that's what you do. All right. So, hopefully that helped. It's a long video, I know, but, this was quadratic formula lesson. This was the quadratic formula lesson, and there's a lot to it. Hopefully it helped. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.